were very deliberate about his work this week, Chris, taking him through the 5 stages of concussion protocol on a day-to-day basis, not officially clearing him with medical clearance until yesterday. The news came out yesterday. They get their own doctors to clear it, and the independent neurological observer has to okay this too, right?
Yeah, that's the final step. And I think we were all encouraged by what we saw in the middle of last week, because he was out there on the practice field for the first day of install on Thursday, albeit on a limited non-contact basis. But that already was indication that he was in step 4 of the 5-step protocol. So he just had one more hurdle to clear, which was namely full medical clearance, as you said, and then the independent neurologist has to clear him as well after the team doctor does. That happened on Sunday. So he's good to go tonight. So that is a welcome addition. I don't think there's any question about that. We saw what happened to the offense when he went out on the second play from scrimmage last week against the Colts. It was kind of taking the air out of the balloon for the offense, and certainly put more on Derrick Anderson's plate in a week where you really didn't want to do that. So having him back to run as a tandem with Chris Ivory, who I thought had a very good game last week that kind of went by the board in the loss. You pair those two together, you hope there's some control of the clock, keeping the ball out of Tom Brady's hands. You're hoping these two guys, McCoy and Ivory, can do that.
Hey, look, McCoy has not had a great season so far. Missed the Minnesota game with the injury to his ribs. Got in just 2 plays last week in Indianapolis, but he still represents the main offensive weapon they have on an offense that is starved for playmakers and difference makers. He's the one who can make a difference.
You're hoping he does. And history has shown that he does, because in his last 4 outings against the Patriots, he's totaled over 100 yards from scrimmage, trying to make it a 5th time here tonight. If he does that, that probably means that there are some points on the board for the Bills, number 1, and number 2, fewer opportunities for Tom Brady tonight.
We're in 4-down territory previewing tonight's game, the Bills and the Patriots. Let's get to 2nd down now, staying with the Buffalo offense. And 2nd down is, what are the expectations for Derrick Anderson in his second start? I have high expectations, Chris. Now he is, as of tomorrow anyway, he will have been here for officially 3 weeks. That's 3 weeks in the playbook. 3 weeks of getting into this offense, figuring out what he can do. He got beat up a little bit last week. Nothing serious, but certainly he felt it in his elderly body after getting banged
Elderly?
around. Well, yeah, comparatively speaking.
All right.
He had to feel it a little bit, and I look for better things from him. I look for more versatility in the Buffalo offense. Maybe they're able to get some pre-snap motion in there and throw a couple of wrinkles in offensively now that Derrick Anderson has another week in the playbook.
I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on elder. What does that make us, fossils?
Yes, me in particular, yes.
No, I mean, I was trying to ask Derrick and Coach McDermott about this a little bit. I was just looking for a general answer. You know, how do you expect to have a game plan that's a little more expansive now that Derrick's been in it for another week? And I couldn't get a straight answer. And I understand they're very guarded because the Patriots read and watch everything, so you don't want to even give them a hint as to what could be coming. But I do expect it to be a little bit larger game plan. To what degree, we'll have to wait and see tonight. But I think there is more on the plate for Brian Daboll to choose from tonight in terms of deploying against this Patriots team.
I look forward to seeing it, and I think it'll be good to see Derrick Anderson with another week's worth of work in this Buffalo offense. 4-down territory. Let's get to 3rd down. Let's talk about the Buffalo defense and what does the Bills defense need to do to win this game. That's 3rd down here. To my mind, they need to do a couple of things. Get back to the form they displayed for that about a 4-game stretch against teams like Houston, against the teams like the Titans, when they weren't giving up much on the ground and they were turning the ball over. Turnovers are key. There's a little bit of luck involved in turnovers, we know that, but there's also an approach, and I think the Bills need to get back to that approach, get the ball taken away from the Patriots offense and be stout against the run, and they got a chance if they can accomplish those 2 things.
Right, and I think the front end has to work hand in hand with the back end here, because we know how quickly Brady gets the ball out, usually about 2.2, 2.3 seconds, and the pass rush, as good as it is, can't get there in that amount of time. So you need the guys on the back end to kind of cover, to force Brady to pat that ball once or at least hesitate. That'll give the pass rush an opportunity to get home, get some hits on him. They don't necessarily need sacks. They just need to get hits. The interesting thing tonight, Murph, is going to be what happens with Murphy not a part of the equation tonight. Do you put Lorenzo Alexander on the edge, or do you find somebody else to put out there and leave Alexander inside as he has been in those pass rush packages? It's going to be interesting to see what the defensive scheme is from a pass rush perspective, knowing Murphy's out of the equation here tonight.
Patriots have been awfully good offensively. If the Bills can get something done on defense, they got a chance. Patriots have averaged 39 points per game over their last 4 games.
Hey, Brady's got 11 picks already this year. That's a high number for him. He only threw 8 all year last year. He's got 11 already through 7 games. You get enough hits on him, you force him to pat the ball once or twice, maybe you get a batted ball, something like that. The 2 times that the Bills have beaten the Patriots, Brady threw 4 interceptions in each of those games. You may have to have him do that again tonight, so that pass rush better be primed.
And I think one more thing about this topic. I think the key guy for the Bills to keep an eye on defensively, it's not really Gronkowski. You got to be aware of him. It's not really Josh Gordon. It's White, James White, the running back. He is a weapon in the passing game and the running game. Extremely versatile. He has burned the Bills before. I think they're going to have to keep an eye on him and know that he has the ability to make some big plays for
2
them.
touchdowns last week in the win over the Bears, and I mean he's been lighting it up. He's their leading receiver. He's the Patriots' leading receiver by far. I mean, it's not even close. And you know what he does on the ground. So just a very versatile player, do everything type player. He's like the second coming of Kevin Falk when you think about it. Remember what he used to do in this Patriots offense years ago.
All right, we're in 4-down territory. 4th down today deals with kind of an off-the-field issue, but an important one, and that is the celebration of Thurman Thomas. His number 34 will be retired at a halftime ceremony. He becomes just the 3rd Bills player to officially have his number retired. Thurman's 34 has not been worn by a Buffalo Bill since Thurman left here after the 2000 season, but this is the official number retirement ceremony. His number will join Jim Kelly's and Bruce Smith's as the only retired numbers. It'll be a great, brief halftime ceremony. Thurman told me he's got his speech down to about 4.5 minutes. Chris Berman from ESPN is in to be the master of ceremonies. Dozens of Thurman's former Bills teammates are here this weekend. Have been here all weekend, really celebrating and really getting together to honor Thurman Thomas for this singular honor.
Yeah, the complimentary back for Thurman will be here tonight leading the charge, and Kenny Davis was one of his closest friends, also a Texas native like him. So it'd be nice to see all of his buddies here to kind of be here for this event. I mean, this is special. I mean, you talk about players, and yes, they do talk about the Hall of Fame, but getting your number retired is right up there with a Hall of Fame induction, if you ask players, especially a guy like this who played virtually his entire career for the Bills and really was the engine that ran that offense. And I think a player that was very easy for Bills fans to get behind because the ultimate competitor. Everybody talks about all the things. Yes, he had a versatile game, all of that stuff. Ultimate competitor. This is a guy that hated to lose with a burning passion, and any fan of the Bills team can get behind that for sure. I think that's why they liked Fred Jackson so much. Thurman was kind of the predecessor to that.
Thurman and his family make their home here. He's got a lot of family in town for this as well. All right, we like to do crowd noise too. We'd like to hear from you, your feedback about the Bills on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Let's get to some of the crowd noise as we preview tonight's game. Lior on Facebook, what is the recipe for a win? Lior, that's a really good question. My recipe includes some turnovers, strong run defense, and effective offense, mostly with Shady McCoy. And you can define, they've got to do more than 11 or 12 points per game, which is what they've been doing. But if they get into the 20s, maybe even the mid-20s, they got a chance here tonight.
I try to think about the game last year in New England. They're right in that game at halftime. The Benjamin touchdown gets called a no touchdown. They have that. They would have the lead in that game. And Poyer had an interception return for a touchdown. I think those are some of the elements that you're going to need tonight. I think the defense or the special teams, one of those two units is going to have to put points on the board to kind of help the offense tonight for sure.
Okay, now we'll go to our second round of crowd noise. This one from Facebook as well. Joe Lyden. Go Bills, he says. Turn Shady loose. Patriots are susceptible to the run, at least 30 touches. Where do I sign up, Joe? I'm all for it. I want to see like 20, 22 carries and maybe 8 or 10 receptions, at least targets for LeSean McCoy. He's healthy. He's been cleared to play. Best offensive weapon they have. If they're using him well and using him effectively, he will help keep the Patriots offense off the field.
And I think they can use him a ton tonight. I heard him talking to one of his teammates in the locker room this past week, and he said, last week was like bye week for me. I mean, he played 2 offensive plays. So last week was a bye week. You know his legs are fresh. His head's right, according to the doctors. So, yeah, use him early, use him often, and let's get going. And then again.
Yeah. All right, and finally, one more bit of crowd noise, and this one comes from Facebook as well. Jose, we got to get in Brady's face. Secondary needs to play the lights out tonight. Yeah, and that's a good point, Jose. You don't need to necessarily sack Tom Brady. He's very good at escaping pressure. But to move him around, to hurry his pace up a little bit.
Get him off his spot.
Get him off his spot, get him out of his timing. That's key. And I have a lot of faith in the Buffalo secondary. I think that group back there, the safeties and Tre'Davious White especially, will do a good job against a nice arsenal of weapons the Patriots put out there.
There are some critical matchups for some young players. You got Tre'Davious White, presumably on Josh Gordon. You got the rookie nickel, Taron Johnson, on Julian Edelman, which is going to be a matchup to watch all game long. And then I wouldn't be surprised, I don't know this, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tremaine Edmonds at times is matched up on Rob Gronkowski, the Bills finally have a defensive player who is tall enough, long enough, and can run well enough, who can match up well on Rob
How's he going to do
Gronkowski.
that? You don't want him vacating the middle of the field.
I wouldn't mind him in the red zone covering him a little bit.
Okay.
Bring somebody else on the field. You got to play Humber at middle linebacker and match him up on Edmonds. I would do that in a second because they throw the ball up high to him. Who's jumping as high as Gronkowski? Edmonds can do that.
Right.
I would put him in there in the red zone against him and
agree.
figure something out.
I agree with your point about Taron Johnson. I think he's a critical piece here.
Huge
too,
piece.
against Julian Edelman. All right, there we go with the crowd noise. Now let's get to the 2-minute offense. Our look at some of the other games in the NFL yesterday. A morning game, 9:30 a.m. in London, Wembley Stadium. The Eagles and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Carson Wentz was on fire. 3 touchdown passes. This one in the second quarter goes to the rookie tight end Dallas Goedert, and he scoots his way into the end zone. Wentz had another one, too, a little bit later on as he finds tight end Zach Ertz for 5 yards out. And the Eagles win it, 24-18. The Jaguars are in free fall.
Bears and the Jets, 2 opponents the Bills will see after they play the Patriots in successive weeks. Mitchell Trubisky to do everything back. Tariq Cohen going the distance down the left sideline for the touchdown. Trubisky in the red zone again. He would find Anthony Miller. Another young target in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. Bears win going away 24-10 over the Jets.
In Cincinnati, rough day for Jameis Winston. He threw 4 interceptions this game. This one picked off by Jesse Bates, returns it for a touchdown. So it's Ryan Fitzpatrick time. Fitz, the veteran, comes in and leads them back. Fourth quarter, a minute to play. The touchdown makes it a 2-point game. Fitz throws the 2-point conversion, ties it up at 34 all.
Woo!
But the Bengals come back and get this field goal for the win, and the Bengals win at 37-34 over Tampa Bay, who now have a quarterback issue.
AFC West matchup, Chiefs and Broncos. Pat Mahomes still producing. 2 touchdown passes to Sammy Watkins, including that one. Then the shovel pass to Kareem Hunt, who goes up and over the defender and drags a would-be tackler into the end zone for the touchdown. Close game. Chiefs didn't play their best, but they win 30-23.
Los Angeles, big crowd, good game. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at the Rams, and Rodgers hits Marquez Valdez-Scantling for a 40-yard touchdown pass in the fourth quarter, and the Pack takes the lead. The kickoff later on after a field goal from the Rams, fumbled away by Ty Montgomery. The Rams with a 2-point lead, less than 2 minutes to play. All the Rams got to do is kill the clock, and that's what they do. Here goes Todd Gurley, knows the situation, doesn't get to the end zone. He wants to burn as much as clock as he can, and he does. And the Rams win at 29-27.
Saints and Vikings, and this pass to Alvin Kamara comes up just shy of the goal line. They say he did not get in the end zone, but he gets the ball, and the next play goes up and over for the score. That put New Orleans in front. Cousins trying to lead the Vikings back. Picked off by P.J. Williams. Look at him go. And this guy was victimized for a couple of touchdowns by the Vikings, so nice to see him get a little redemption on Cousins. Saints win 30-20.
An off day for us yesterday, Chris. Did you camp in front of the TV and watch football all day?
I was doing that. I was doing a little bit of work on the computer as well. You know, business stuff on the home front that you try to take care of and catch up on. We've been away a lot, Murph. I mean, 5 away games in the first 7. You don't have a Saturday or a Sunday to get that stuff done, so I was playing catch-up.
It's going to be great to be home tonight and great for these Bills fans. And, yes, it's been a difficult first half of the season so far. A chance to reboot tonight, Chris, and they need this crowd. I mean, I'm not cheerleading here. As we take a look ahead at tonight's game, I'm not, bringing up the pom-poms, but this crowd can play a role in this game tonight, especially early on. If the Bills can be competitive early on and the crowd stays with it, the Bills will have a chance here, I think, to disrupt Brady and his timing and maybe, throw a little wrench into the Patriots' offensive plans here.
Yeah, you prefer castanets to pom-poms, right? That's your mode of fan support. But, yeah, I mean, you got to keep them in the game, though. So some good things have to happen early, I think, to charge the crowd up even more. You know they're going to be in a froth right at the start of the game, but give them a reason to stay in the game. So hopefully some good things can happen, maybe similar to what the Bills were able to do in Week 3 against the Vikings, a succession of positive plays to really get people charged up. The roof will, well, there's not a roof here, but the figurative roof could get blown off of this place if things happen early for the Bills, because the crowd will carry you from there if you do some of the right things early.
If the Bills' defense can keep the Patriots at 24 or fewer points, the Bills, I think, have a legitimate shot here tonight. And that'll be a tall order to do.
I would prefer 17.
Okay.
I'd feel better if it was 17, but that might be a little unrealistic with what the Patriots are putting up here on a weekly basis the last 4 weeks. Their production is just off the charts. It just keeps happening. It's so frustrating.
All right, Chris is going to join us on One Bills Live tomorrow at 1 p.m. We've got a show today 12 noon to 3 p.m. That includes Chris Berman, who's going to be the master of ceremonies
Boomer.
for Thurman's halftime ceremony. Chris Berman will join us today at 2 o'clock. We'll hear from some of Thurman's former Bills teammates, many Bills alumni. As I said, dozens of them in town this weekend to help Thurman celebrate his number retirement. And, of course, the Bills and the New England Patriots coming up at 8:15 tonight. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for tuning in via Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. We'll see you next Monday at 10 o'clock for another edition of the Bills Monday Breakdown.